She had no home. No family. No reason to trust the world that had forgotten her. But when she heard the faint cry of a newborn, something inside her changed. What she did next left an entire town in tears. This sets a mysterious yet emotional tone, creates instant intrigue, and invites viewers to stay and uncover the full story, all without any forced intros or greetings. It was early morning. The kind of morning where the world feels silent, like it's holding its breath. The streets were empty, the sky still painted with the last traces of night. Cold wind whispered through the trees, and the ground was wet from rain that had fallen just hours before. In that quiet, forgotten corner of the city, walked a stray. A German shepherd, skinny and worn down by time. Her fur was matted. Her ribs showed through her coat. She didn't walk with fear, but there was something in her eyes, like she had learned not to expect kindness. She had no collar. No name. No home. Just a past no one knew, and a future no one seemed to care about. Each day was survival. Digging through trash. Avoiding people. Searching for a place to rest that wouldn't get her kicked away or chased off. And still, she moved. Day after day. With no one waiting for her, and no reason to stop. But on this morning, something was different. As she passed by an alley behind a row of old houses, she heard something. A sound so soft, so strange, she stopped in her tracks. A whimper. Not like a cat, not like another dog. It was higher. Fragile. Barely there. She turned her head. Sniffed the air. The sound came again. A faint, helpless cry, coming from behind a pile of cardboard boxes near a dumpster. She stepped closer. Slow, cautious. Ears up. Every part of her alert. And then she saw it. A blanket. Damp. Crumpled. And moving. Something was inside. Her body tensed. She didn't know what she was looking at. She didn't know what to do. But that's the thing about instincts. You don't think. You feel. And in that moment, something inside her, something ancient and silent, told her. Protected. She stepped closer. The blanket moved again, and this time, she heard it clearly. A baby. Crying. Weakly. Like its tiny lungs were already giving up. The dog didn't understand what a baby was. She didn't understand how rare, or how fragile, that sound really was. But she knew enough to know this. Whatever was under that blanket was alive, and it was in trouble. She sniffed around it, gently nudging it with her nose. No growl. No bark. Just quiet curiosity, and something else. A feeling she hadn't felt in a long time, purpose. She circled the blanket, laid down next to it, and curled her body around it. Not because anyone told her to, but because something inside her told her she had to. It was cold. Not freezing, but cold enough to matter. Cold enough to kill something so small. So she stayed. The baby squirmed, its cries soft and tired. She moved closer, letting her body heat cover the tiny form. She licked the baby's face, not understanding what it was, but somehow knowing, this was life. This needed warmth. This needed her. And so, the stray, the one the world had forgotten, became a shield. A guardian. A mother, to something that wasn't even her own kind. Hours passed. The sun began to rise. Traffic picked up. The city yawned and stretched and carried on, never noticing what was happening in that quiet back alley. Until someone did. A jogger, out for an early run, slowed down near the alleyway. He heard something strange. A low whine. Not threatening, more like a whimper, a plea. He turned his head. That's when he saw her. A large German shepherd, lying curled around something. His first instinct was fear. Was the dog injured? Was she hiding something dangerous? But then, he heard it. A baby's cry. He rushed over, heart pounding. The dog didn't move. Didn't growl. She just lifted her head and looked up at him, tired, but calm. And there it was. A newborn baby girl. Wrapped in a damp, thin blanket. Crying, but alive. The man fumbled for his phone, his hands shaking as he dialed emergency services. Within minutes, sirens were echoing down the street. Paramedics. Police. Neighbors. Everyone came. And the dog still didn't leave. She didn't run. She didn't hide. She just sat there, watching, making sure the baby was safe before she'd let go. Because on that cold morning, in that forgotten alley, a stray dog had done something no one else had. She noticed. She stayed. She protected. And that single act was about to shake an entire community. The paramedics were fast, but the scene they arrived to wasn't what they expected. They had prepared for the worst. An abandoned baby was already heartbreaking enough. But when they turned the corner and saw the dog, that stray German shepherd, still curled up like a guardian, no one could speak. One of them slowly approached. The dog looked up but didn't move. No barking. No signs of aggression. Just this calm, almost human stillness in her eyes, as if she knew why they were there. She let them near the baby. As the medic gently lifted the infant from the blanket, the dog whimpered softly, not because she was afraid, but because she was letting go. The baby was cold, but alive. Her tiny fingers clenched. Her lips were blue, but she was breathing. It was a miracle. A few minutes later, the baby was rushed to the hospital. The team said if she'd been found just an hour later, she might not have survived the cold. That little bit of warmth, the dog's body heat, was the only reason she was still alive. As the ambulance sped off, the crowd that had gathered turned to look at the dog. No one knew what to do. She just stood there now, watching the flashing lights disappear down the road. Still. Quiet. One officer walked up to her slowly and offered his hand. She sniffed it. Then, without protest, she followed him. Not because she was forced to. But because maybe, in some part of her heart, she was hoping someone would finally look at her the way she had looked at that baby, with care, with intention, with love. The local animal shelter took her in. For the first time in who knows how long, she was given a warm place to sleep. Food. A bath. A name. They called her Sasha. Within hours, Sasha's story spread like wildfire. The news picked it up. Social media exploded. Stray German shepherd saves abandoned baby. People around the country couldn't believe it. Thousands of comments poured in. She's a hero. She deserves a forever home. Give her a medal. But as the attention grew, so did the questions. Who was the baby? And why was she left there in the first place? The truth would break everyone's heart. The baby girl was stable. Doctors said she was lucky, too lucky. Hypothermia hadn't taken hold. Her lungs were strong. No signs of physical harm. The only reason she was alive was because that stray dog had kept her warm long enough to be found. But while the world was calling Sasha a hero, police were quietly investigating something else. Who would leave a newborn like that? Alone. In the cold. The blanket the baby had been wrapped in was old, but it wasn't dirty. A bottle had been placed nearby, unopened. And tucked inside the folds of the blanket, was a note. Written in shaky, hurried handwriting. It read, "Please don't hate me. I tried. I really did. But I can't give her the life she deserves. She deserves more than I can ever offer. Please take care of her. I'm sorry." The officers read the note in silence. This wasn't a case of cruelty. This was desperation. A search was launched. It didn't take long to find her. The baby's mother was just 16. She had hidden her pregnancy from her family. The father was long gone. She had dropped out of school, isolated, scared, and living in a shelter by the edge of town. When they found her, she didn't run. She cried. She didn't know the baby had survived. She didn't know a stray dog had saved her daughter's life. When they told her, she collapsed. Through tears, she whispered, "I thought she'd die. I didn't want her to, but I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't know anyone would find her. I didn't know a dog would care when no one else did." It was one of the hardest truths to hear. This wasn't a monster. This wasn't a villain. This was a child who had felt abandoned by the world. And that's when it hit everyone. The baby wasn't the only one who had been left behind. So was her mother. So was the dog. 3 lives. 3 stories of abandonment. And somehow, fate brought them together, not in hate, not in tragedy, but in hope. Sasha, the stray, had been discarded by someone long ago. The mother, too, had been pushed aside, judged, left to figure life out alone. And the baby, an innocent soul, was nearly lost in the cracks of a world that sometimes turns its back when it should lean in. But one act of protection, one instinct to care, had changed everything. Sasha, the stray with the heart of a protector, didn't return to the streets. She didn't have to. After the story went viral, the animal shelter was overwhelmed, not just with calls, but with letters, emails, donations, and adoption requests. Everyone wanted to give her a home. Everyone wanted to say thank you. But Sasha wasn't just any dog now. She was a symbol of love, of instinct, of hope. Out of hundreds of people offering to adopt her, one stood out. The first paramedic who'd arrived at the alley that morning, the man who had lifted the baby from Sasha's side, asked if he could take her home. He said, "She saved a life that day. I think it's time someone saves hers." And so, Sasha finally found what she never had before, a family. A warm bed. A name spoken with love. She no longer wandered alleys or dodged people in fear. She had toys, long walks, a backyard, and most of all, she had people who looked at her with gratitude and kindness, the way she had once looked at that baby. And the baby? She was placed in a safe foster home while her young mother got the help she desperately needed. Counseling, shelter, education, and, maybe for the first time, a support system. They didn't treat her like a criminal. They treated her like what she was, a scared girl who made a terrible decision out of pain, not hate. And the most beautiful part? The mother asked if she could meet the dog. The shelter said yes. The day they brought Sasha to visit, the young mother knelt down, tears in her eyes, and whispered, "You were there when I couldn't be. Thank you." Sasha didn't understand the words. But she nuzzled her hand gently, wagged her tail, and let the girl cry into her fur. Because that's what Sasha did. She didn't judge. She didn't abandon. She stayed. This story isn't just about a dog. Or a baby. Or even a desperate mother. It's about something deeper, something we forget in a world that moves too fast, judges too quickly, and loves too conditionally. A stray German shepherd, with no home, no food, and no reason to trust anyone, saw a tiny life in danger, and chose to protect it. She had been abandoned herself. Yet, when it mattered most, she didn't turn away. She didn't ask for anything. She didn't expect a reward. She just did what too many forget to do, she cared. If a forgotten dog can pause in the cold to shield a child she doesn't even understand. If an animal with no voice can speak the loudest kind of love, the selfless kind, then maybe it's time we look at ourselves, and ask, When was the last time we showed up for someone who needed us, even when it was inconvenient? When was the last time we stayed, when walking away would have been easier? It's so easy to scroll past someone struggling. To assume someone else will help. But what if Sasha had done that? What if she had just walked by? That baby wouldn't be here. A mother wouldn't have gotten a second chance. And a city wouldn't have been reminded of what compassion truly looks like. Sasha reminds us that heroes don't always wear uniforms or speak our language. Sometimes, they walk on four legs. Sometimes, they've been through pain we'll never understand. And sometimes, their hearts are bigger than we give them credit for. This isn't just a story to feel sad about or inspired by. It's a story to carry with us. Because there are people, and animals, out there right now who feel forgotten. And sometimes, all it takes, is one act of love to change the ending. They called Sasha a stray. But in the end, she was the only one who knew exactly where she belonged, beside someone who needed her most. She didn't have a voice to cry out for help, but she became the voice for someone who couldn't. And maybe that's the quiet truth we often overlook. Sometimes, the most broken hearts, are the ones that save us. So, the next time you pass by someone, human or animal, who looks forgotten, don't just walk away. Because you never know. They might be the hero in someone else's story. Just like Sasha.